Hi, welcome to Delicate Dark Girl. We're extremely close to my face today. Do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. You don't have to guess. We are doing, as the title said, the art of blush. Yeah! So, I should be careful with that. You'll probably see more into my mouth than ever. Anyway, I have a bunch of blushes sitting in front of me because I wanted to show you guys some different ways to apply blush to get different looks. I'm not an expert or anything, honestly. I'm just saying what I like. And if you like watching my videos, then you would have noticed or maybe not noticed the different ways that I'm putting blush on. They differ slightly. I actually wrote notes, but now I can't find the paper I wrote them on. Now, one of the first points that I'll talk about is coloring. So if I'm using, depending on the look I'm going for, I might use a foundation that stands with the blush, so they have like complementary colors. So like my redder foundations, if I want to look like a big fireball, I'll put on redder blush. Today we went full neutral so you can really focus. You'll see this on the newest episode of 6 Days Same Face. Okay, so in that case we'll use things that I use because they'll color tie. So they'll color tie maybe my lip to my face, or just my foundation to what's going on. We'll talk about those blushes and how I apply them. So for instance, color tying blushes, or you know, basic everyday blushes, the Black Radiance Toasted Almond, the Clinique Fig Pop, and Juvia's Place Bella. Okay, in the Zulu palette I use some of these as blush. So that orange, that purple, and this like pinky kind of reddish color. It's like a blue pink really. Sometimes I'll mix these, or I'll mix that and the orange, or I'll mix these two, or I'll mix this and the orange. These kind of blushes, I will show you how I put on color blushes that I'm using strictly for color. You can either use your finger or you can use a brush. For Toasted Almond, I'm going to use a brush. Get it all in there. Toasted Almond and Fig Pop, the softer colorings, I like to just spread it pretty widely right here. So it's like right at where my cheek, if you notice, it goes bang, right? So you find that ample part of your face. You don't always have to put it way back here like I do, but I like that effect. I like volumizing this part. So you see that? Whee! And then I carry it up to the corner of my eye. You see how it's touching my eye? Right there. Careful not to poke yourself. And then I carry it a little to the front, you see right there. And I just pull it down like that. See? So now it's like this side of my face. It's colored, you see? So this is how I use softer coloring blush. They get a wider, I use them in a wider area. So the Fig Pop, just another softer color, kind of corally, with a bit of like peach. So I'm going to use my fingers. I love these colors, and that one's brighter too, so it gives a bit of like a shining kind of brightening effect, like right there on the cheek, like whoosh. So, and then this one's like boom, you know. With softer colors like that, I apply them wider. So for me, I like to volumize like this part of my face. I start right here, back here where the temple is. I carry it up to the temple sometimes, and then but mostly right here, like on the side of my cheek, where right before it dips. For me, it's a little more easy for me to find that because I have these really long sideburns. In junior high, this kid in my class was like, why don't you just grow a beard? And I was like, Anyway, that kind of application, wide on the side. Think about it like that. For softer colors that I want to make a color story with, or tie a color of my face in, like so that it looks cohesive, those kinds of colors, they get the wider application from the side and up into the middle, but not completely to the middle, just up into like right there. Like think about this area like that. Boop, 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 boop. On to the next kind. Oh, I forgot to tell. Things like this purple and pink and orange, they get this same thing too, like I was saying earlier, because I use these more for a color story. So, okay. Hey, there's a blue jay. Doesn't it know winter's coming? So, sometimes I'll have a blush that I want to use to kind of brighten up the face. And for those, I'll show you some examples, is like the Innisfree, the number 3, and then the Saharan 2 blush palette by Juvia's. The Saharan Blush Volume 2. This brown one, Yara, and then Lena and B. I use those 3 as either mixers, so this one too. So I'll mix it with another blush that might be deeper, just so I could get like a custom kind of coloring. Or I use it alone as something that could brighten up the face. I'm going to show you with Yara, and I'm going to show you, you've seen Innisfree lately if you look at my Summertime Black. So I'm going to show you Yara, and I'm going to show you B, and where I put them. So a lot of the times for those, I like to use a sponge maybe, or a bigger brush, bigger powder brush. So I'm going to do Yara on this side, and then I take it like right under the eye and move it that way. You see? So right under the eye, like don't be afraid to try to get in the corner by the side of the nose. Ta-da! Okay, so it's like a very subtle brightening effect. And you don't have to go all the way under the eye either if that makes you uncomfortable. Say you have drier skin there or something like that. But you can just lightly tap the color like in there. If you've concealed well enough that you're comfortable with this, you just go right under that eye and pull it right to the end of the eyebrow. Wherever your eyebrows end, right to the end of your eyebrow. Okay, so I don't take it all the way back to the temple like I do with the color tie. It's because it's really for the brightening right here, as you can see, like right there. I'm going to put just a little more. Okay, that's also why I like mixing it with something. If you find something to be a little, like it might feel like it might be a little too bright or ashy on your skin, mixing it with a brown blush like that works for me. And I'm going to show you B on this side. And so it's basically the same thing. You take it and then you move it that way. Move it that way. Okay? So these are really focused more on the front of the face. So for the purple, I usually don't take it all the way in there. I got carried away trying to show you something. So you just go in with your sponge and try to buff it out. And then I take just a little bit more of that purple, and then I'll focus it right here, right under the eye, but not like under the eye. You see how there's a little gap? And I just kind of bounce, 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 bounce. Bounce, bounce. Okay. And then I soften around the edges. So for B, the purple one, you know, I just focus it right here. Right under the eye. Okay? See that? Don't take it any further than your eyebrow, the end of your eyebrow. See, this is the brown one, so it could go from the end of the eyebrow to the inner corner, but for the purple, like that, I try to stop somewhere near the middle of my eye, and then don't take it any further than the end. You don't even have to go all the way to the end of your eyebrow. You can stop right at the end of your eye, and just like right at the front of your face. Now imagine that with, you know, the appropriate colored face. Ignore my reddish eye, but you see how it kind of, both of them kind of brighten up the face in their own way. So, okay, remember that. The brown went right under the eye from the inner corner to the end of the eyebrow to brighten it up, okay? The Innisfree can do this. Things that are like pinks and purples, but they're bright. I focus them like right here from the middle of the eye to the end of the eye. And then try not to get too close to the inside either, but you can let it kind of use your little sponge to kind of blend it. Just like spotlights, you know, like little cheek spotlights. Let me show you how I use the corals. Another way to use these kind of bright colors, because the Innisfree and the Tao are also things that are in this category of brighter blushes. We'll use a smaller powder brush for this technique. So we'll do Innisfree. Whee! So another way to use brighter blushes is to take it all the way across the face. So we'll start under the eye, kind of in a downward motion. Right? Okay. As you see, this one's actually a lot more subtle than the others. So I layer it a bit, but you see how as you layer it, you can see where it is, right? Alright. So this one I also take right under the eye. Don't stop anywhere farther than that. You don't have to. I go all the way in. Second layer it. You can also like do this stroke down so that you don't go too far. And then you can put as much on your nose as you like. I like to go right around on the bridge, like right below the space between my eyes, but not all the way down at the tip. It might get on the tip and that's fine, but that's not where I'm putting it. Okay? So then you have like shoop, shoop, shoop. And then you can also layer this kind. But see how it brightens? Next up is the deeper blushes. I should have done this video and start by taking off this eyeshadow. Anyway, but you guys understand what I'm saying, right? You can differentiate the fact that it'll look different with the proper color eyeshadow, okay? Anyway, I believe in you. These colors are things like that, like other people might use it as a contour, depending on how deep your skin is. If you're deep in the range of me, or if you're deeper, then some of these colors, they can still be a contour, but also they'll just turn out like coloring, okay? So like that, I think that extends the amount of options that we have, so that's pretty darn cool. So Abby, and we're going to use Neo as an example. We use a smaller powder brush. These two, because they're more like contours, I put them almost in the same way I put the coloring, except it doesn't go up as high. It'll stay down here. Alright, closer to where the range of contour would be if I contoured. Okay, so like right where your cheekbone is. So find your cheekbones and you'll see what I mean. So we'll do Abby on this side. It's like I want to say like a burgundy brown. So we take it and we kind of just, you just move it like that. With the deeper ones, the deeper colored ones, they're a bit more, I want to say chic, a bit more sophisticated in the placement and in the coloring. So you see that? So you see where I put it? It's like just down here. But do it very, you know, very softly, right? Down this area, like right where you would contour, take it down that way, and then bring it over like a small arc, like a little rainbow, okay? So where that little, the part that's it's a little plump out, then you just smooth over it, like you're just calmly smoothing over it, right? And so you see, then you get that coloring right there. Boom. Oh, this color is so pretty. Oh, anyway, so that one you can take into the temple. Here's the thing. I am a product of the 80s. I was born in the 80s, so I don't remember anything about the 80s, but the 90s, the early 90s had a bit of 80s residual. And then of course my mother, growing up and seeing her, I remember her style of makeup. So when she used to wear blush, it was in a very 80s fashion. But then if you look at the early 90s, it was kind of similar. Not so much with the coloring, but with the application. And this is reminiscent of that. You see the placement of it, where it's just, don't take it too far down. So you have to be really careful about where your face is. And then you get that nice sophisticated coloring right there. Very early 90s kind of application that's like only on the side of the face. And you also have to take your face shape into account when I'm telling you all these things, because absolutely none of these might work for you because our face shape might be different, but you can take the overall concept. That's why I keep telling you to find your lines. You see that? You see how it kind of, it gives a mood. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to call this palette. This is like a mood blush. That kind of delicacy that happens like in the early evening of twilight. Maybe you're going to a rum bar, or, you know, you're taking a nice stroll among, you know, tall sweetgrass. Anyway, that kind of thing. We're going to do Neo on this side of the face. And basically, this one's like chili, like smoked chili pepper. So then we're going to essentially do the same thing, but not really. Because this one had more brown in it, you could kind of play it like in the contour region. This one, oh, there's something in my... This one is just red. So we're going to take it still only on the side of the face. But we're going to hold the brush like this first of all. And then we're going to kind of just pat it right at the plumpest part of the face. You see that? It's still kind of in this area, but we're not going to take it down as far. With brighter deep colors like this, we kind of take it and then we're going to move it towards the middle. Find the middle of your face. A professional is probably going to watch this video and be like, girl, no! But what I'm telling you is the things I like to do. Alright? Alright? And then we'll smooth it out. Just right on the side. Right where that plump part is, just right on top of it. And then bring it in here a little. Bring it in here to where, like just where the apple might be. And then now you can work your way up. Don't go down, go up. But carefully, don't take it too close to your eye. Alright? And then stay out here. Okay? Again, a more 90s application where it stays over on the side of your face, but I didn't take it too high up close to the temple. We started right here where the contour would be and went above it, and then you blend it upwards. Just blend it up just a little bit so that it gets kind of cohesive with your face. We're just blending it up here. We didn't add any more new blush to the thing. Remember, don't take it too far in. Okay? And then you use your hands to finish the job. Bring it out to your temple like 1987. And then, again, with the mood. And obviously, you don't have to put on as much as I do. I really like blush, so I put on as much as I want. So anyway, so these are the way you can do deeper colors. You know, but you can make it, you can put on as much or as little coloring as possible. Obviously, this is just to show you where it goes and me putting on as much as I want. Okay? So you can use this to like blend it out. Take some of the color down. Right? See that? So we took some of the color down, and maybe you like that better. But the place you put it is still the same. This one was a little more contoury. Okay, and this one was focused more just at the side. They give a mood and a feeling. You understand? So that's why I like deeper blushes. Last but not least, we're going to move on to illuminating blushes. So blushes that have a significant amount of glitter or shimmer in them. I'm not usually the biggest fan of these blushes, but I do have a couple. And I literally mean a couple. There's two. There's one, Minted Peach for the Stars, and Coralina by Milani. And this was the first one I ever got, and then I bought this one. Honestly, I bought this blush because it was peach. I didn't read properly, and I didn't realize that it had illuminating property to it. So I was like, oh man, but turns out it was nice. So for them, I also used a smaller powder brush. For me, I use these as a double whammy, as a highlight and a blush. So the placement is going to be as such. We're going to take it just at the very top of the cheekbone, not under the eye and not too close to the contour line. Anyway, so we're going to do Coralina on this side. Shimmer coming out everywhere, and then you just take it right at the top of the cheekbone, illuminated. Instead of what I just did like that, I just wanted to show you, but you might want to just like tap it in, tap this kind of blush in so that it doesn't look like a streak. It's kind of like poof, 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 poof. So here I am taking it up to my temple, like right here. I'll take it all the way up here, right? You don't have to do that, but I'm, again, telling you what I do. So this one's got like a peachy tone to it, which I really like. I don't know if you can tell. You see that? So it gives a little bit of illumination. When you're facing front, it's more color, but when it hits the light, it gets the light of just the top of your cheekbone. And then, as usual, you can use your fingers to blend it out. And I don't bring it all the way in either because of all the sparkle. I try to keep it at the edge of the eye, like right here. And move it on the top of your cheekbone that way to your temple, and then bring it all the way up to your forehead. But there you go. And let me show you with the Mented. So these sparkles are actually more silvery white shimmer. The ones in the Peach for the Stars for Mented, they're gold. So the same tactic. Make sure you get it on the end because that's the part you'll be tapping with mostly. And so you find the corner of your eye, right? The end of your eye and the top of your cheekbone. And you just start tapping. Tap, 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 tap. Tap it. And then you can get a little wider when you get to the corner. You can just use the brush right there like that. But this right, you don't want to make it too far down. That's why we're so careful. Get a little more. Tap, 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 tap. Right at the top of the cheekbone. Tap, tap. And then forehead. Okay. You can kind of see that the light doesn't hit this side as well. I should get like a flashlight or something. There's my phone. Okay, so using my phone. But when the light hits, you can see it's a little more gold. That side, it's a bit more silvery, kind of champagne. Alright? I hope you could see that. I could see it. But then from the front, you get more peachy. This one's a little bit more pinky coral, you see? So that's the point of illuminating blush. From the front, it's more color, but when the light hits it, you get your illumination. Don't get it all the way under the eye. Just the top of the cheekbone, top of your cheekbone, the top of your cheekbone, at the end of your eye, and take it around to your temple if you want. And that is pretty much the end. Not pretty much, it is the end. Thanks for watching, you guys. I had a great time doing this. Oh, it's gonna be murder to edit. See you next time on The Art of Blush or something else. Bye.